Hello and welcome to this video tutorial from BlenderCookie.com. My name is Jonathan Williamson, and this tutorial is a continuation of our topology overview series. This time we're going to be looking at the topology of a human foot. Now again, keep in mind that this is a fairly simple foot. It's not necessarily completely realistic, but it portrays the basics of an actual foot and represents the topology needed to go ahead and add more detail to create a basic one of this level and to suffice for most purposes. So let's just go ahead and take a look. As always, you'll notice that I've gone ahead and colored in with green, red, and blue a lot of the primary edge and face loops, and then in red I've also gone in and colored in several of the poles or diamonds, as I like to call them, that are present in the mesh. So let's go ahead and just zoom into edit mode by hitting tab, and you'll notice that I'm in face mode right now. And one thing I'm going to do real quick just to clean up our visualization is just go ahead and enable the editing cage during edit mode for the subsurf modifier. We'll just make things a little cleaner to visualize, but do realize that you do not want to actually use this while editing in most cases because it gives a false representation of how clean your mesh actually is. So looking at this, first off, you'll notice a couple of things. Starting at the toes is we have a single face loop around the base of each individual toe, and this gives us enough control, obviously, with any appendage to go ahead and extend the faces and vertices on out towards the end of the toe. And then continuing on, we have several more face loops moving on through here, 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 and here. And then in the case of the middle three toes, I have one more loop. And what this does on each one of these, you'll notice in front of the green loop here is we have an extra edge loop that allows us to get the small bump of the joint in the toe here. So this gives us a little bit extra control. So we have just enough right in here to get the knuckles, and then going right on down to the toenails. Now with the toenails here, you'll notice that I have this red circular loop, and this loop is particularly important because what it does is allows us to extrude in to create the toenail. And if we look at this, you'll notice that all it is the entire toe extruded out, and then I've simply selected the top couple faces and extruded it in. You'll notice that if I were to go ahead and say select all of these, get out of proportional mode for a second, or perspective mode, if I were to go ahead and delete all of these faces, go back into edit mode, or into vertex mode, select these, delete these, I could go ahead and fill these in quite easily. I'd simply fill that, and merge that right there. And so that's actually what the original mesh looks like. I've simply then just extruded in this section to create the circular area for the toenails. And the toenail itself is nothing more than that same structure that's then been pushed back and pushed forward to give the indication of the overlap and the underlap of the toenail. So that keeps it very nice and clean with one solid mesh and makes it a lot easier when it comes to things like animation and avoiding any separation in the model due to poor weight painting. But moving on along with the topology, a couple of the things I'd like to point out with on the toes is, for one, we have two continuous face loops that go all the way around the entire foot. And you'll notice that they go from one side clear around to the other side. And these are the green ones and the red ones right here. And what this does is it gives me a consistent surface to follow along with the shape of the foot all through here, around the back of the heel, around the side of the foot, and on back into the toes. And the key thing here that you'll notice is that it's continuous. You know, it's not going all the way through around here and then up around over the foot or anything like that. No, it's going all the way around. And more than anything, what this does is keeps things very consistent. It gives me a very good, nice base with which to work from on my model. And so you can see in some other areas this changes a little bit, but by having those two primary ones, it gives me the opportunity to keep things very nice and clean and consistent. So those are the toes pretty much, but something else that I'd like to point out on the toes is you'll notice that I have these 5 red triangle or red diamonds, and the diamonds are where I have 3 edge loops coming down and merging into a single one via a rotated quad. And what these have done is allow me to not only reduce my topology, since I need a lot more topology in here for the toes than I do up here for the top of the foot, but it also allows me to give the indication of things like tendons or muscles, or on the bottom here, right in here, allows me to give an indication of a little bit more of a meaty area. So since the ball of the foot here is going to have a bit more of a meaty area here and here, allows me to kind of separate those areas out. So I can even pull this up, and pull these up, and then these would kind of go in, giving me those indications there. So they serve two purposes. They allow me to reduce my topology and give me some better control to shape the main area of the foot. Same thing right in here is it also allows me to bring this topology in and follow the curvature of the foot, since the bottom of the foot here on the inside goes in and kind of arcs up. It's known as the arch of your foot. And since it goes in, it allows me to keep flowing this topology along here without just scrunching up all of the topology. Because if I were to continue this back, you can see how this would get very, very dense right in here. You know, we've got a full 3, 6, 9 edge loops on this side, and only 3 on this side. And in fact, we've actually got one more right here that I forgot to color. So you can see that if we were to bring all those back right in here, this would get very, very dense very quickly. And in some cases, you may want that. You know, if you're making a very, very detailed foot, you may want to go ahead and bring a lot of that topology back. But you're going to have to make it go somewhere. And so by terminating 3 of the loops into 1 allows us to really fine-tune it and terminate it such that we don't have to extend this all the way up the leg. Because the other thing you've got to keep in mind, you know, if you were just modeling a foot, that would be one thing. You know, you could deal with the dense topology. But in most cases, this is going to continue on up to form the entirety of the leg, then connect to the body, then connect to the chest, the torso. You know, you've got to really think about where you're going to reduce your topology and where you need to increase your topology in order to keep things manageable. And that's pretty much it for this. The other couple things just to point out is that I've got one continuous face loop right around here that allows me to create a nice band around the foot. I've got another one coming down from the side of the foot across the heel that would then continue on up the legs there. I've got one right around the wrist, and so you can see my topology is taking a turn right here, so I have a single pole vertex where I've got more than 5 or more edges connected directly to it. I've got another one right here, and so you can see that if I were to go ahead and from side view go ahead and just delete these vertices, you can see how my topology is turning, and so this is then just filled in that area. And same thing, you know, we've got another pole right here, although this is a different kind of pole. We've only got 3 edges connected to this, but it does the same thing in turning my topology and allowing me to keep this as just a nice quad. So again, that helps us keep a very nice, clean, and even quad. And then that's pretty much it. You know, back in here, it's very, very basic. It's very simple. The only shapes that we need to really worry about are the tendons going up the back of the leg, the Achilles tendon, and then the two bones. Honestly, I don't know what they're called, but the 2 on each side of the ankle here, we can simply define with just a single vertex coming out. Same thing here. Sometimes you may want to go ahead and extrude more in there, but one easy way to do it is if you've got these faces here just as quads, you can simply hit E to extrude, then hit W and smooth a couple of times, then take out these top faces, and that allows you to maintain the same topology, but then just turn this right in here to increase the topology and get a little more to define your model. And that's it. That is the basics for the topology of the foot. It's very, very similar to the hand, although it's honestly a little bit easier than the hand because you don't have the awkward angle of the opposable thumb. And so as long as you can do one toe, you can do all of them, then it's just a matter of shaping them, connect them to the top of the foot. The one area, or the 2 areas that I really encourage you to spend some extra time on and some focus is this area right in here with these diamonds, and same thing on the bottom, and finding good ways to reduce your topology along here such that you don't have very dense, very rough topology going all the way back along the entirety of the foot. So that's that. I hope it was helpful, and we'll follow this up soon with another section.